All right, Cody, we're doing it.
Okay, let me get it here.
Okay, so hello YouTubes. My brother has a 3D printer, and I wanted to learn how to 3D model things in case I ever wanted to like 3D print things on his 3D printer. And I don't know the first thing about like designing things for a 3D printer, so he is going to teach me at some point. I might edit this down into a more watchable video, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So what do I do now, Cody?
You'll have to get Autodesk Fusion 360.
Okay.
And there's a hobby license. It's kind of hard to find it, so you may have to like search a little bit for the hobbyist license 360. It's probably just going to take you back to the same page. So scroll down, see if you can find. You might just want to like search like hobby license. Yeah, Fusion 360 for personal use. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh, I've done this before apparently, but
You haven't well, you might have gotten something else from Autodesk, but
yeah, I might. Do they make? Are they the people that just do SketchUp now? I don't think they are.
Maybe? I don't know. I only know Google.
Oh no, Trimble.
What the heck is it?
Yeah, Trimble makes SketchUp. But
Well,
anyways,
SketchUp is whack.
and Autodesk is where it's at.
Yeah. I mean, for 3D printing stuff, you could probably get what you need done in SketchUp, but I'm not. If YouTube cares, along with owning a 3D printer, I also own a mechanical engineering degree, so I'm used to things like Fusion 360 over things like SketchUp. So for me, it's a lot easier, and especially for functional parts.
Tick, 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 tick. Look, it's all my passwords. Look at that on YouTube's. Autodesk Fusion 360. Personal, not for commercial use. Well, it seems like I'm already Autodesking. But it's like still installing. Cody?
Just a second, I'm almost done.
Trying to record a YouTube and you're looking in your ear canal with your ear camera.
I got it. That was down in my ear canal. How'd that even get there? Can I get a freaking haircut? I don't know. YouTube doesn't need to know about my ear canal, sorry. So, yeah. I don't know why this is even how is this even supposed to... I guess it's because if you're like using this professionally, that's going to really impact you if you're working on a lot of projects at once. So that's a good way to... But like if you're not, it's not that hard to just be like, I want to work on this now. Make this one read only that I haven't touched in like a week. But... Okay. God.
Wait. 10 editable documents and unlimited read-only. Well, how is it going to know how many you...
Because everything is like within... There's no like...
File system?
Yeah, it's all just within Fusion 360, so I'm sure the files are somewhere on your hard drive, but I think a lot of stuff in Fusion is cloud. I'm not sure. I honestly just use it. So, this is your 3D space. Is it still installing, or...?
I don't know. The installer's gone now.
Okay,
so.
Cool. So this is your, like, 3D space. I don't normally have this plane when I start, but that's kind of neat. So, everything starts with a sketch. So, you can use your middle click to rotate, I think. Okay, middle click is... Maybe right click is rotate then. It's like, nope, not that. That's weird. Okay, so maybe it's just left click is rotate. Nope. Okay. That's odd.
I can grab this thing.
Yeah, I just normally, like, I think middle click is just normally, unless maybe you're already in Sketcher, but I don't know why you'd be in the sketch already. But, no, you're in the right place. So, In Fusion 360,
Can
everything...
I shift? If I shift and middle click,
Yeah, that's...
and that feels familiar from...
But see, you're in a plane, which makes me think that it's like... Maybe because you haven't made a 3D feature yet, it's like, well, it's not 3D yet. It's still 2D. So, anyway, from SketchUp, I'm sure that you're aware of, like, drawing something and then extruding it out.
Yeah.
So, the way you do that here, under the Create section, that first one is to create a sketch. So, you can sketch on any of those 3 planes. So that kind of shows your coordinate system there. So that point in the middle is 0, 0, 0, and then, yeah, you're sketching on whatever plane this is. It's not really important. So up here under Create, those are your tools. You've got lines, triangles, circles, splines.
Oh.
Yeah. And you can use that drop down to see some more things that you can do. So yeah, you can just do a thing.
Oh, these are millimeters.
Yeah, it's millimeters.
Ooh, look at me. Wait. How do I make it in good American units?
How dare you? I think if you go to document settings in your browser over here, units, yeah. So edit those, change it to inch or whatever you want to do. Probably inch if you're going to be 3D printing something. You're not going to make it in feet. I do everything in millimeters nowadays, but
I feel like this zoom is backwards. My scroll wheel.
I'm sure you can edit it somehow. Also, another thing that you could learn along the way is that Fusion 360 is very like hotkey heavy. So if you want to learn like L is to make a line.
Is there a way I can get up there?
Middle click and drag. Yeah, that's how you like move around your plane.
Move about the cabin of the plane.
Yeah, you can make whatever the heck sketch you want. See, now you got a line in the middle there, which isn't really a big deal. And then you can hit escape to get out of the tool unless you want to keep drawing lines.
Can I delete this?
Yeah, you can delete that.
Delete key for those of you on the tube.
Yeah. So when you make that, see how it's still blue? I'm pretty sure this is correct. I use Creo and Fusion 360, so I can't remember everything between the two sometimes. But if it's blue, that means it's not constrained, which means it'll stay where it is, but you haven't told it to be there necessarily. So, like, it's not defined, basically. Like, it's just wherever you set it down, but you haven't, like, locked it to anything. So if you want to hit D, that's for dimension. And then you can either make it a specific size if you want. So if you hit an edge, and then that's a corner, but yeah, and then drag that dimension off somewhere. You can see you actually technically have 2 lines across the top there just because of how you drew it. So if you hit escape. Click a different line, hit D, click a different line, and then click to place that dimension wherever you want it, and that's just for organization. So that's about 1 inch. If you wanted it to be exactly 1 inch, you could just put 1 in there. A lot of times when you're doing something like this, you'll just roughly sketch the shape you need and then go in and add your dimensions later. So, and the other thing is, it's not necessarily located within the plane right now, so you can also add a dimension to, like, those center lines.
Oh, wait, I'm very confused. I don't know what this thing is that I drew. Is it not a real shape, or?
It's just a 2D sketch. So
okay, so a sketch is akin to like pencil lines.
Yes.
Okay.
It exists, but only in 2 dimensions. And so you're sketching on this plane here that does have dimensions, so you can make it very specific size and shape. But right now it's just 2-dimensional. So you have to tell it. I guess you don't have to. It's more of just an anal engineer thing that, like, I'm like, you have to tell it exactly where it needs to be and exactly how big it needs to be. But part of that too is that things are driven. That's saying that doesn't help you. Well, here. Just hit D, and then hold control, and then click a line, and then click like that green line. I think you should be able to click that green line. Okay, never mind, click the center point there. So now you've made a dimension between those two. So if you wanted it, so right now it's 1/2 inch from the center point. So if you click to drop that dimension somewhere, just left click. So now let's say you put in 0.25 right there. Now see how it changed size. So if you didn't want it to change size, you could tell it, hey, I want this square to always be 1/2 inch, or always be 1 inch. So if you go to that bottom line on your square, click there, and then click to place that dimension, and then tell it 1. So now...
Oh, I see. It's like, if you were to represent this to someone, you would want them to know this and this and this, and those also happen to be facts that need to hold true.
Yes.
Okay.
So right now you've constrained the width of it, and actually also constrained the height of it whenever you made that one on the other side. And you've constrained it in one direction with that 1/4 inch dimension, but you need to do the other dimension before it's fully constrained. So if you do from like the bottom edge...
But it's not pointing to anything.
It's pointing from that edge to the middle point. To like the origin, the 0, 0, 0.
Okay.
So do that again.
Wait, but it's from here to here.
Well, no. See how there's arrows at the ends of the line?
Yeah.
That's the distance that it's talking about, and then that leader is just kind of going off to the side to make it easier to read.
Oh, I see.
That's pretty standard engineering, like...
Notation.
Notation is to have the 2 arrows are the extents of what you're measuring, and then you have a leader off just so that all the dimensions aren't all over the place. So if you wanted to fully get this locked in place, you'd need to hold control again, and then click the bottom line and that 0 point again. And then place that dimension down, so wherever you want it. That's fine. It doesn't matter where you put it, it's just like, so it's not like on top of another dimension. And then if you want to leave it that's fine. If you want to... Okay, so it should be fully constrained now. I thought it would turn black when it was fully constrained, but it didn't. Why didn't it?
I think that this line that I don't know, this is like a goofy way to constrain it.
Click that line and see what happens if you try to just dimension that one line. That one that you were on. It might yell at you. Okay, didn't yell at you. So, that's interesting. Because a lot of times if you did something like that, it would tell you because of that other one constraint, okay, it's because there's 2 lines there. Alright. So there's like an elbow. But you kind of understand what's going on here is like, you can tell it where the shape is and all about the dimensions of the shape and define all of that stuff in space. And you can dimension between 2 completely different features by holding control and doing the dimensions that way. So you can like, if you wanted to dimension from that point to like, if you wanted to do an angle dimension, you could do that. And then, yeah, see, over constrained. And you can create driven dimensions, and basically those are just like symbolic. You can't tell it what to be, but it will tell you what it is. And the reason that's important is because if you're doing like some really advanced stuff, you can actually use like a formula. That's interesting. So you might have put in a dimension that was impossible for it to actually do. And it's probably going to tell you that's over constrained. Another thing, actually delete that one you made that's like sitting at an angle right there. And so hit D for dimension, And then do that again between that line and the center point, but don't actually place the dimension yet. Yeah. And then just kind of move around, and you can see right there it's like that, but if you go straight up, like over a little bit, go back down to it, and then see if you can get it to like, sometimes you can get it to, wait, no, wait, I was wrong, sorry. Hit Control and deselect that line. And then select the point up here, I think is what you did. So there, that's an interesting thing because you can get it, see how it sometimes switches between diagonal and then perfectly vertical. You can kind of place your dimension, and in placing your dimension, like tell it what kind of dimension you want. So you can have a perfectly vertical dimension where it's like the vertical distance between the two, or you can have it like the actual total distance between the two, depending on where you place the dimension. So, as far as making a YouTube video, there's an interesting video that I watched. Oh, hey. Did you hit O?
I hit O because I'm used to SketchUp with orbit.
Well, that was interesting because that's offset. So if you wanted to make this like, you can offset the line and it'll like go out or in a certain amount. But, yeah. So at this point, like, you kind of understand if you were actually shooting for some specific shape, you would load like all your dimensions into here, tell it exactly what size you wanted it, what shape you wanted, all that kind of stuff. So let's say this is the shape you want. You can hit Finish Sketch. And so now you just have a sketch. So there's extrude right there. Extrude has some fun features in it. I think you actually deselected the contour. So yeah. So you can either just push, pull, whatever. Oh.
I'm trying to orbit and I keep forgetting how to do it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So you can just push it, pull it, whatever. And then see that little thing up top. I can't quite remember what that does. Oh yeah, that does a taper. So you can do a taper on it, which I don't do a lot, but it's good to know it's there. But the other things are over here, direction, you can do over on the extrude window over there. Oh, here. Well, here's what the cool thing. So go down into your, that's your like feature tree there, your like history. So right click on the extrude and then edit feature. So you can go back in and edit any feature. So if you go over to direction, you can go, you're on one side right now.
I don't see it.
Direction.
Oh.
One side, but you can do two sides or symmetric. So you could, if you wanted, you like symmetric will go above and below the plane at the same distance. You can do two sides, so if for some reason you wanted to extrude up a little bit and down a little bit, and a lot of this comes as you're doing like more features later, but again, good to know it's there. So yeah, let's say this is exactly what you want, and you want that shape, and you want it to be extruded up and down 0.4 inches. You can hit OK. And then the thing about this that makes it different from SketchUp, at least the SketchUp that I remember, is let's say you realize that's not the right shape, I need to make it a little bit different. You can go back into that original sketch that you did, hit right click on the sketch, go to Edit Sketch, and then you can change any one of those dimensions and hit OK, and it'll regenerate everything and go back through the whole process. So that can be dangerous sometimes because it can cause things to fail. Like if you edited this so drastically that like a face that you had put a hole on later doesn't exist anymore, then it'll be like, hey, I couldn't make that hole because you got rid of the face that you put the hole on, so I don't know what to do now. But it will just give you an error. It won't just be like, it won't just crash the program or something. So you can go through and fix it if that ends up happening. But so yeah, if you just want to like move something in here, like I think you can just drag points if you want. Oh, look at that. I don't know what the heck's going on. But yeah, like let's say you did that, and then you just hit Finish Sketch. And then now your shape is different. So another cool thing that you could do is if you go down here to the extrude and delete it, just right click and should be able to delete it.
Oh, I was in the wrong tool, I think.
I don't know what's going on.
There we go.
Delete that.
Because I clicked this orbit tool and then that messed it up.
Yeah, delete that, and then you should still have your sketch. The sketches will always be here. Sometimes it makes them invisible, but just hit the eye and it'll come back. So another thing you can do that's fun is revolve. So
I feel like for the sake of the video, it's bad when you point to things.
Yeah, I don't know how else to tell you. So it's the second thing in, third thing in on the create
Well, when I
section.
click it, people on the video will see.
So there's the revolve. So click that. So now you have your profile selected. And you have to select an axis. So I think if you just select like any line, it should work as an axis. So, sure, try that. Okay, I can't do that because it's inside the... Try an edge of the sketch. So, I don't even know what... Yeah. So you can actually take your shape and revolve it around instead of extruding it. So that's another really interesting thing you can do, where if you want to make a round part like that, you can do a sketch and then revolve it around. You could do that with extrudes too, just extruding out circles, but yeah, so that's another tool in your toolbox. So yeah, just for
How do I be done revolving?
How do you be done?
Yeah.
Try...
Did I mess it up by hitting this?
Probably.
I just didn't want to move my
Maybe
hand.
just hit escape.
I gotta move my dang hand.
There you go. I swear on my copy of Fusion,
I swear on my copy of Fusion.
the middle click is like the orbit tool. I don't know. There must be a setting for it somewhere. Because that's very weird that it's not on this. But
you can double click and it does something.
Probably recenters. So if you like get way off and you're like, where even is my model, you can just double click and it'll come back. But yeah, hit OK because we got more things to learn. Hit sketch again. So now you've got the under the create just up at the top. No, next to that little sketch bit. There you go. And now try sketching on one of the faces of your model that you just made. So you can now sketch, because that is effectively just a plane, you can sketch on that plane. And then if you want...
Wait, what if can I get out of here?
Yeah, you could hit finish sketch. I don't know if you can cancel a sketch. But yeah, you can delete that if you want. You should be able to...
I'm just going to hit the delete button.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Okay.
What were you going to do? Yeah, you can't sketch on curved surfaces.
Oh, okay.
So, what else might you want to do? Put whatever you want in here. So, another thing that's important to note is that you'll see it's dropping what are called constraints. So, these little like equals signs, or those are actually parallel signs. So, it's automatically snapping things to parallel. And you can actually add those constraints too. So those are in the constraints section, the red icons up on the top. And like let's say you wanted two lines to be equal. That's the like equal sign looking one that's near the middle, the red and gray equal sign. Yeah, so if you click that and then click two lines, it'll force them to be equal. So you can do that, like if you have a bunch of lines that you make and then you want all of them to just be the same, instead of having to drop a dimension on every single line and tell every single one, I need all these to be equal, you can just set you can set the dimension of one and then constrain all of the other ones to be equal to that. So those are constrained to be parallel to each other, which is done automatically. A lot of times if you draw a line like close to what you want, or close to parallel, it'll just hit the parallel constraint, which can be annoying sometimes, but if you need it to not be parallel but close. I think if you hold shift or something, that one's Creo. I don't know. There's a way to stop it. Or you can just delete the constraint. You can actually select those constraints and delete them. Although you're still in the equals constraint, so you might just have to hit escape to get out of the equals constraint.
All right, I feel like this is enough to get somebody off the ground.
Okay.
And it's making me self-conscious. Yeah, so I'm going to stop.